Hi everybody, and welcome to the second video I'm dropping on Christmas about my fanfiction list. So I'll just put it out again. I haven't been reading fanfiction a long time, so now I'm curating my favorites list that grew to over 1,200 stories. So far I've read about a little over half of them, and half of the ones that I've read I've taken off. So it's a lot of cuts, less than I actually expected when I started this, but let's dive into these stories, starting with Storybook Hero by dogbertcarroll. Okay, so this is a Harry Potter story where Harry's, a smart kid, and he realizes that something's going on with his life. He ends, he's at, something's a little off. He's a little too fairy tale-ish. And then he ends up relishing his magical destiny and starts gaming the system with his knowledge of tropes as best he can. It should come as no surprise. I love this author. I enjoy the craziness of the story because I love this guy. I don't really have much else to say. Sadly, it's not complete, but what's here is a really wild ride that makes fun of a lot of tropes and trope knowledge. And there's a whole lot of gags and jokes that this definitely will earn a place on my list. So I'm just going to move on. So, number 2 is Naruto vs. Zombies by Crisis. And this one basically starts with Naruto getting the manual from Plants vs. Zombies and learning how to make solar chakra to make the flowers with faces grow. The story is actually pretty tame and normal compared to the one other Plants vs. Zombie crossover I remember, and it basically just turns into a standard Naruto story that doesn't get past the wave mission. There's a few fun bits with zombies and a lot of implications with some other big bads finding out how to use the zombies and using them as their main thing that would have been interesting as a cool payoff. But what's here by itself is honestly just like a normal Naruto fic where he just learned one extra technique before canon started. It's nothing really interesting or noteworthy, and I think you can skip it without worry, and it's gonna fall off my list. Number 3 is Calculation by Fringeperson, and this is another Harry Potter fic that is complete. It's a one-shot. That basically has Harry with a much more intellectual mindset and a talent for numbers, and he just ends up running Hogwarts instead of doing his first year. Literally just becomes the headmaster because the Sorting Hat says he should be. This Harry is really just too wise for his age, and it feels out of place, but it's not too distracting as to ruin the story. Sadly, the thing that does is the fact that the story is just basically super smart and mature Harry calmly and quickly adding school subjects and making the school better. And that's pretty dull. It's just boring to read. There's no big or funny moments. Everything has a pretty dry or matter-of-fact tone that it just becomes boring and hard to get sucked in. It's not bad by any ways, but it's just really dull. I say give it a look because it's pretty short by my standards at least, but I doubt it would stay in people's minds after you finish it, and it's gonna fall off my list. Next is Surrogate of Zero by Bhepin, and this is a Familiar of Zero Evangelion crossover where Luis ends up summoning a post-Third Impact Shinji as her familiar, and we see him fumble through a new universe with lovely narration by Asuka. It doesn't get very far into the story. However, seeing Shinji and Asuka deal with Shinji's many problems while trying to help Louise with hers is really entertaining, and the character beats really kept my interest throughout. This is one where it doesn't get very far, but the interactions are more than entertaining enough to want you to come back and revisit this and see this multiple times. And so because of that, it's going to stay on my list. Next is another fic from dogbertcarroll. This one's called The Next Great Annoyance, and it's also a Harry Potter fic. This one's where Harry gets dragged to an alternate dimension after he saves the world from Voldemort, but it sadly doesn't really get anywhere, like at all. Still, it does give a few laughs. As always, I enjoy this author, and I did enjoy the story. The difference here between Storybook Hero and this one is that here there's just really not enough. You know, there's a few gags, but they're not even there's not enough time to even build running gags. There's just a couple. There's just like a small set of jokes. There would have been a lot that would have been interesting, because like the world that they came in is more not war based but more political based, and as people are building political capital, and he'd have to go against, you know, Tom Riddle and the Marauders on different sides, which I think would have been interesting to see him, especially, and also see him just like in his rush to get laid. Like there's a lot of fun implications and stuff that would have been fun, that I really wish I could have seen. But as it is, this one, like, I don't know, it's still funny and enjoyable. It's just not there's just not as much or enough to stay on my list compared to his other stories, I feel. It's not even like there's bigger jokes. They're all just like, it's a bunch of the little jokes, just like the type he likes to pepper in, and it doesn't get enough time to build like the running gags that he normally does. So that's why, like, I did enjoy it. I would say give it a look for a quick laugh, but this one is not going to stay on my list. Next is The Hen That Laid the Golden Eggs by Lady Foxfire. This is another Harry Potter one-shot that's basically just about the greedy wizarding world trying to squeeze everything it can out of Harry Potter for being minorly inconvenienced. It's pretty straightforward, with a bitter and tired Harry dealing with arrogant wizards and then just leaving them behind. Perfectly serviceable. Again, give it a look, but you'll forget about it shortly after you read it, and it's going to fall off my list. And the last story for this video is A Sage Among Wizards by Kythorian. And this is a story where Naruto, like long after he saved the ninja world and stuff like that, and he's lived for a long time, as he's dying, he's like, okay, I don't want to release the Jubi, so I'm going to transfer my soul into another body to keep holding it. So, and then he ends up transferring himself into Harry Potter right after he gets hit with the killing curse. So this story is basically Naruto casually walking his way through the wizarding world with his super abilities and can't give a shit old man attitude that was born from 100 years of being the most dangerous thing in the world and nobody talking sass back to him. You know, as such, he really does not give a shit as he expresses his thoughts, and also shows a lot of careless cruelty. One line that made me kind of uncomfortable in there was he's like, oh, when I was younger, like I was constantly throwing pranks and stuff like that at the Dursleys, and like normally like that's kind of innocuous, but when he said like, oh, the Dursleys now have understood their place in the world where, you know, they can't do anything that they can't control their lives in any way, and they're all just the whims of a capricious god. It's like, that's kind of like you're just torturing them and like you're an asshole, you know. It's kind of uncomfortable. And since the story never finished and we only get past like his first potions class, that moment was really the only bit of emotion that I really felt while reading this fic, which, you know, leaves a really bad taste in my mouth. The rest of the story itself is pretty banal because it's a lot of setup where like Harry's antagonizing the goblins, Malfoy, Snape, so we're setting up like people that are going to come after him later. But there's nothing really that captured my attention or made me think I should revisit this. And like the only thing that sticks in my mind is that one moment, which is not a good moment to leave me on. I feel this story can be skipped without worry. It's not going to stay on my list. And there we go, the second video for Christmas. Hope you guys enjoy this. Most likely will not get another video out. I probably won't get a video out until next year. So hope you all have a happy new year, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy holidays for everything, and happy new year. And let's go. Sorry, I forgot fanfiction status. Now I have read 654 stories. 324 of them have stayed on my list. So there we go. Again, happy holidays, everybody. Links to all these stories are in the description, as well as links to a playlist of all the videos for this journey that I've been doing. My fanfiction.net profile, forum thread where I also post all these stories. So there you go. Please enjoy. Leave a like if you liked. Subscribe if you want to get notified when these videos come out by themselves. And I will see you all next year. Take care.